Hey, what's up YouTube? Down the Smartphone Guy coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to take a look at this device right here, the Umidigi S2 Pro. Not only am I going to give a full review of this device, but also check out the link below because this is a giveaway as well. You have until January 14th, so that's only about 24 hours before the giveaway is done, but definitely check that out below. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the full review. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start out the full review with a discussion of the price. As you can see right now, it's available at gearbest.com for $321, but generally you can find it for just under $300, so I'll leave a link down in the description for the best price that I can currently find at gearbest.com. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the build quality of this device. So as you can see, we have an all-metal unibody backing, and then we have a fingerprint sensor here on the back, as well as a 13 and 5 megapixel camera. Up here we do have a microphone, and we have our antenna band both on the top and on the bottom of the device. Along the side we have our volume rocker and power button. On the bottom we have Type-C charging, as well as a speaker and microphone. And along the left hand side we have nothing at all, and on the top again nothing. So one thing you do notice that is definitely missing here is the fact that there is no headphone jack on the device. Now we do have a 16 megapixel camera on the front, as well as a flash up here that you can't really see right now. There is a notification light built into the speaker grill that you can see right now, and that pretty much is it. So we have a 6-inch full HD display. As far as the display goes, I would say it looks nice, but it's definitely not as poppy as other displays out there. When you look at different wallpapers and things like that, they just don't pop like they do on some other phones. But overall, I do like the display. It's an 18:9 ratio, and it is 6 inches. So definitely a nice build quality to this device. So as far as performance is concerned, you can see that as the Geekbench score, we have a multi-core score of 3728 and a single core of 772. So this is running this Helio P25 processor that's clocked at 2.6 gigahertz with 6 gigs of RAM. And in general, I would say that this thing performs quite well, bouncing from app to app. It does a decent job. It's not super fast, but also not incredibly slow. I would say in general it's a pretty mid-range device in terms of the processing power. Gaming on this device is fairly pleasant. I play games like NBA Jam and Marvel Universe, and all the games that I played run fairly well. The area where I did tend to see some lag is when bouncing from app to app, particularly in social media. You would see that it would have some stutters here and there, but overall performance is solid, but not anything to write home about. Alright, so as far as the cameras are concerned on this device, we have again a 13 and 5 megapixel camera on the rear, 16 megapixel camera up front with a flash, and also of course a flash on the rear as well. As we go into the camera, you can see that we do have video, and we can shoot in 4K on the rear camera and up to 1080p on the front facing camera. So we'll go ahead and turn that around and I will say hi to everybody. Alright, so we do have definitely a full featured camera here. We can shoot with bokeh, and overall I would say that the camera does kind of have some slow focusing, so that would be just one issue. And then also one thing I'll mention is the fact that the bokeh effect really that you get with the two cameras is really just a software thing, and it's not really utilizing those cameras. But we do have time-lapse and also slow-mo built into the cameras as well. So a full featured camera, but not necessarily the best camera quality overall. So I'll go ahead and throw up some pictures so you guys can kind of judge it for yourself. Alright, so as far as the battery is concerned, you can see that today it is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm at 91%, and that's with some pretty decent usage, so that's pretty typical honestly with this phone. You do have a 5,100 milliamp hour battery, so easily a full day, and probably for most people I would say a 2-day battery life. And you can see that actually right now I'm running it with dual SIM, so I have a T-Mobile SIM and a Cricket wireless SIM, and so even running dual SIMs, you can see that I'm still at 91% at 3 in the afternoon, so that is pretty good. And I would say for most people you're going to get at least a day and a half, probably 2 full days on this battery, so this is definitely a battery beast. Alright, so the battery life is good, the software is not so good. So let's go ahead and talk about the software on this device. So first of all, it is running Android 7.0 as you can see here. Now it is running the November security patch, so not necessarily up to date, and I'm not really sure how Umi is when it comes to their updates. So you can see it's running Umidigi OS on top of Android 7.0, and that's where I would say this thing kind of struggles a little bit. Just because when it comes to the software, you can see that for the most part, the settings are pretty standard with Android 7.0. They do have a few tweaks here in the security, so there is face unlock. That actually doesn't work too bad. It's certainly not as fast as OnePlus 5T when it comes to face unlock, but still pretty darn good. But within the fingerprint sensor, if you're using that, you do have some features built in here, so you can use it for screen capture, to take photos and videos, answer calls, and things like that. So there's some nice features built into that security with the fingerprint sensor. And if you come up here, there are some smart assistant options available with eyebrow mode and LED notification, so you can kind of tweak what that does with the LED notification. And with the eyebrow mode, there's also some tweaks here when it comes to the display. However, for the most part, doesn't have a whole lot of features. But what really makes this kind of frustrating when it comes to the software on this device is the fact that it is basically running a software that basically mimics iOS, and that's a little annoying because what it does is it basically allows you just to put folders in. You can obviously put widgets, but it's just going to put whatever you download next into the top left, or you can choose to have it come into the bottom left, but overall it's pretty much the same as iOS, and unfortunately they don't let you change that. So if I go in here to Nova Launcher and I try to set that as my default, so this is great, I like Nova Launcher, so now I want to set that as my default launcher. So if I come in here, try to set it up as my default, it will not let me. So notice that normally when you come in here, it would allow you the option of changing your home or switching your home option, and it will not let you do that. So Umi does kind of close that down, and unfortunately I'm not a huge fan of their software, but it's something you have to live with this device. Alright, so now let's go ahead and take a listen to the speaker on the Umidigi S2 Pro. Alright, so how does it sound? Well, it actually sounds pretty good. Unfortunately, it is very quiet. So I would say go ahead and plug in some headphones, except that there is no headphone jack. So you are going to have to use a Type-C connector, which it does include in the box. So at least you have that, but for speakerphone calls, it is going to be quite quiet. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're considering picking this thing up. Alright, and the last thing I want to talk about in this review is the bands that it covers. So if you're in the US, it is going to get 4G if you're on T-Mobile or Metro PCS, so that's that first SIM that you can see right over there. Now with Cricket Wireless, I'm pretty much getting HSPA Plus everywhere I've gone, so that's just something to keep in mind. If you're on AT&T or Cricket, you're not going to get the fastest data speeds. However, with T-Mobile and Metro PCS, I had absolutely no problem getting full LTE, and it was very quick. Alright, so let's go ahead and wrap up this review with my final thoughts. So the area where I think this phone really does well is in the build quality, and the performance is pretty darn good, and then also fantastic battery life. The area where it definitely struggles is in the cameras. I think the cameras are a little bit subpar. The software really just doesn't do it for me with Umi's OS, and the speaker quality. But overall, a solid option for $300. There are certainly ones that I would recommend over this. If you're interested in finding out what those are, just go ahead and hit me down in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.